This is Duke University.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We are so glad that you are able to join us this Good Friday, and we just appreciate you taking some time out to listen to us, and hopefully you'll take something good from this. My name is Angela Bonner, and I serve as the Assistant Director in the Career Center, and I manage the government, education, nonprofit, and policy career communities. But also one of the programs that I enjoy working with is this program, which is the Accelerate to Industry, and you'll hear us say A2i. So I'm gonna stop for a moment and let my colleague introduce herself, and then we'll keep going.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jia. I'm a fourth year graduate student in psychology and neuroscience, and I work as a student intern at the Career Center to help program this A2i series. So we have coffee chats and workshops talking about finding alternative careers outside academia, especially for PhD students. So yeah, glad you are here.
Well, thank you again for joining us. And just to give you a quick background, just to let you know that Accelerate to Industry was started at NC State, and they focused on STEM students. And so here at Duke, we decided to just switch it up a little bit and try to help our social science and humanities PhD students who are looking to maybe leave academia and don't really know how to start, where to go. So that is basically our goal that we want to accomplish for you through this process. So today, our first workshop in our job search series is the job search. And that is with Stacia Solomon. Stacia is the Associate Director of Career Readiness here in the Career Center. And Stacia absolutely enjoys this part of the process and working with students and engaging and helping you think outside of the box. So I'm going to move out of her way and pass this over to Stacia and let her get started.
Thank you, Angela and Jayawa. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for spending, if this is your lunch hour, with us. I'm going to try to be very conscious of your time and get through this content expeditiously, but hopefully in a way that is meaningful for you. What I'm attempting to do right now is share my screen, so just give me a second to get it to where I want it to be. Okay, can you all see my presentation now? Okay, perfect. All right, so today we're going to talk about the job search, and I know that is something that is really important to anyone, I would think, that enters a degree program, because most people are going to school for some type of end goal, some type of return on their investment that usually looks like some form of employment, whether that employment is in industry or in a nonprofit setting or in academia. Is still employment nonetheless. Even if you go into entrepreneurship, it is still employment in some form or fashion. So, but we're going to talk about the job search in terms of probably a more industry focused type of way. And I'm just going to share with you a few tips and tools that I hope that you find helpful. And then we're also going to talk about ways for you to be really strategic with that search. So we're going to talk about a few components of the job search. We're going to go through just a few networking strategies, and then also there'll be a few resources that I want to point out to you that you may be familiar with or maybe not, but either way, want to make you aware of them, and then you can decide how and when you utilize those resources. So, okay, so let's keep it moving. So I do have a question for you. And that question is, and I would like for you to respond in the chat, is, or you can unmute yourself. I think our group is small enough to be able to have some real in-time dialogue. Is, what's the best advice you've ever received about anything? The best advice that you've ever received about anything. Any advice that you've received? Anyone want to share? I'm checking the chat. Nobody's ever received advice? What's the best advice you think you've given to someone? How about that? Is that better? Okay, here we go. All right, Paula, thank you for sharing. To look at each situation as a learning opportunity. Yes. Is it Sanya? I want to make sure that I'm saying that correctly. Please forgive me. Okay. All right. Stay positive, never give up. Yes. Any other advice? Any other advice? For advisors, don't go for the big names. Find someone who can actually help you. Yes, that's great advice. Really, we want somebody that's going to have time. Exercise more. Oh my gosh, Iowa. Whew. Yes. Okay. Start small. I like that, Chris. I heard someone say, just start. Like, just get started. No matter how you start, just make sure you start. Okay. I wanted to ask you, and Angela, yes, it's not a sprint. It is definitely a marathon. Yeah. Sometimes we go into things, we start things thinking that I'm going to do this quick, I'm going to do this fast. Many times when you're starting any new endeavor, it's going to cost you more than what you anticipated, and it's going to take you longer than you even imagined. So, keeping that advice in mind that it is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and it is okay. But the reason that I wanted to pose this question is just to demonstrate the diversity in ways to get to what essentially will be a good end, right? So all of these things, if you take all of these pieces of advice together, at some point they will come together and still get you to a really good end, depending upon how you utilize them, what perspective, what lens you are operating with them from. And the same is true with the job search, right? So people can, it's not necessarily a cookie cutter approach. So the things that I'm sharing with you today are going to be strategies and things that you may utilize all of them. You may just use some, you may use one or two, but hopefully in some sort of way, these things will be valuable for you. Also keeping in mind that everyone comes from different educational and experiential backgrounds. And you'll meet all of these people, and you're meeting each other. Even now, you're meeting people in classes that will be hopefully folks that you put into your network or your group of helpful humans. They will also You'll also get support for things that you learned in courses and things of that nature that may be really beneficial as you navigate your job search process. All right. So there's one resource that I really want to point out that may be helpful for you, and it's this graphic that I've set out here really kind of speaks to the piece of advice that Angela brought up, which is it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So how do you get yourself ready? How do you set yourself up? And then at what pace do you go? That all really depends upon your end goal and what you're trying to accomplish in your job search. So there is some information that you can use, lots of good resources. One of the websites that we lean on a lot is themuse.com, THEMUSE.com, and they have published some job search guides information, lots of good resources that they publish. But one of them gives you some different things to consider as you are navigating your job search. Okay. There are question marks here. I put question marks behind each of these words: ready, set, go, because it I want you to really question yourself in terms of where are you in that process? Are you ready? Are you set? Is it time for you to go? If you're in the thick of the search, you might be unsure as to how to answer those questions, or when you should pull the trigger, for lack of a better way of saying it, and go and activate, or maybe when you should pause and take some time and prepare a little bit further. So this, I will share this slide with you all, or will it be shared with them, Jaiwa, Angela? You've already shared this information with them? Okay, all right. So I'll make sure there's some hyperlinks that I have in my notes that I don't think are going to come out actually on the slide, so I can share that with you all. But there's some different things that you can look at about, defining your goals, making sure that they're clear for you. And we've got some resources on our website that can help you do that. Making sure that you optimize your LinkedIn profile, if that is one of the tools that is going to be really important for the industry that you are going for. For some of you, depending upon the industry that you're going in, maybe you need an actual full website, and getting that developed and getting that to a point of you're being ready to share it, and having people to look over it will determine whether or not you're ready and set to go. Knowing your resources, again, will be really important. Are there professional organizations that you should be a member of, or that you should engage with? If you are a member of that organization, do you need to engage with them more? Do you need to attend a conference or go to a meeting or something along those lines, just to bring yourself up to a place where you can feel more ready, and you can go and start to proceed in your job search process. And then making sure that you have put yourself on some sort of schedule. Do you have it mapped out? Is it a part of your plan, so much so that you have actually put it into part of your day, your job search? Or is it this nebulous thing that you have out and you know it needs to be done? It's kind of lurking in the future, but you haven't put any action items into place to reach that goal. So, determining where you are, because there's a statement that says something like, you can't determine where you're going until you realize where you are. I know I didn't say that exactly right, but I think you all get the point. So really locating yourself, where are you, so that you can determine where you need to make your plan, so that you can determine where you're going and how you're going to get there. Okay. So there's so many questions that come up during the job search process that really require you to do some self-reflection, right? Taking that time to really determine where are you, taking that time to do some self-reflection and be honest with yourself, can be a job in and of itself. That's an opportunity that will help you to clarify your goals, to do some research. And there are different ways that you can learn about yourself too. We have some resources on our website, through our process, the career development process. If you look at Angela's her background, that the infinity symbol is the career development process, and one of those stages is knowing yourself. So when you go to our website, career development process, there are some different activities and resources that you can use just to get to know yourself better. We, Angela, both of us being career advisors, and some of you may be advisors in some sort of role, but have met with students many times that are at the PhD level that haven't taken that time to sit back and say, you know what do I want to do? What do I like? Do I really enjoy this work, or am I just doing it because I'm good at it? Taking that, allowing yourself that space and time to pause will help you to do your job search in a more intentional way, and hopefully minimize frustration that you may encounter as you're moving through your process. So doing that self-reflection is really key. Any questions or comments as we're moving forward? Nope. Okay. If you have something, you can just drop it in the chat. But if not, I'm going to keep moving forward and then we can, talk a little bit afterwards. So again, the career development process, I just spoke about this a little bit. We also have a resource, and I think I have a graphic of it on one of our pages called Focus 2. And Focus 2 Career is actually a bank of inventory, interest inventories. How many of you have ever taken the something like an MBTI or done something like what's another one, like the strengths inventory, anything along those lines? Have any of you ever taken any of those inventories, personality tests, Enneagram? Have you done any of those things? Okay. So the assessments through Focus 2 are they are similar to those types of inventories, but they are definitely more career related. So if you're at a place where you're like, you know what, I'm not really sure what I want to do or what type of career, like what's the title, what should it be called, type of thing that I'm looking for, Focus 2 is a resource that you can use to help to clarify some of those goals. I also want to drive home the point that the career development process is iterative, meaning that, especially in this day and time, it's okay for your career process to kind of go through cycles, right? Um, I believe gone are the days where people are just staying in one career to infinity, right? That doesn't typically happen that much anymore. So sometimes you may start at one point and then go through go through phases. So if that is your story, know that that is okay. People have varied interests, but knowing that about yourself is the most important thing. So that Focus 2 Career will help you to clarify some of those goals. So here I want to infuse a question. Your thoughts about networking. How many of you? So I'm going to launch this poll on networking. Just want to get quick feedback. Choose the statement that you agree with most. Do you jump at the chance to meet new people? Or would you rather take a cold shower outside in Chicago in the wintertime? Let's see. All right. Okay, I think everyone has responded. Let's see what we got. Let's share the results. Okay, are you all seeing the results? Yes. Okay. So 75% of folks said that you jump at the chance. That's great. 25% says no, absolutely not. I get it. I understand. I understand. Some people really enjoy it. Like that's their jam. That's their happy place. Other people are like, please, no, don't make me do it. But if you think about it in terms of networking is identifying helpful humans, right? Meeting people, talking to people that you share something in common with, they have similar interests, then it can be a lot less intimidating. There is some research that suggests that somewhere over 80% or so of jobs are obtained primarily through networking versus just the cold applying. And what in Western culture, I should say. In other parts of the world, those statistics may look different, but in our country, it is typically like that. So what that really begs or says to me is that the relationship, that human component, is really important. And when it comes down to it, most people really do want to be connected with someone in some sort of way. Some folks like to be connected with more people all at the same time. Other people will just choose, a couple that they would prefer to be in connection with. But if you think about it in terms of just building connections, talking with people that have similar interests, then networking can be a little less intimidating. Um, some of the ways that you can identify some of those helpful humans or build your network, whatever language is least intimidating, more inviting for you, is again looking at some of those professional organizations that you may be a part of or could be a part of. Utilizing LinkedIn, your LinkedIn connection sometimes is a really easy way to connect with people. You can join groups, you can participate in conversations that are taking place. You can connect with people from your undergrad institution if it was different than Duke. If you've come into Duke and maybe you already had a master's and entered a PhD program and you have a couple different institutions, you can connect with people that way. The Duke Alumni Directory is something that you also have access to, and that is behind your net ID, and it is searchable for you to connect with people through. You can filter it by industry, you can filter it by geographic location, you can filter it by the degree that's being that the person obtained, and that can be based on the degree that you've obtained. You can filter it by a company that folks are working for. So there are different fields that you can input there. You can use that information to conduct informational interviews, which are really helpful, or just those are could also be considered just having those conversations with people. And we've got a resource that helps to give you that language that you may need, especially if you're reaching out to someone that you haven't ever met before, but you want to know, hey, what do I say? This person doesn't know me. I found the information online. This is kind of weird. We've got some language that we have a template almost that you can use and some questions to help guide that conversation. And for those of you that may be looking for opportunities that are more global, more international, then we also have the platform InnerStride at your use that functions a bit like the platform looks a bit like LinkedIn or Facebook in the way that you navigate it, but it is a way for you to build those connections. And then also attending some events that are employer sponsored or alumni centered events. So, for instance, Karsh Conversations, if you've heard of any of those events, is an example of typically it's almost like a marriage between an alum who is typically working at a major employer or a really highly desirable industry or something along those lines. So again, great spaces for you to build those connections. Has anyone attended any of those employer or alumni events where you were able to meet anyone, even if it was you were just meeting other Duke students? No, not yet. Well, we've got some coming up, so you can check Handshake and register for some that are of interest to you. So this next slide gives you a link or a copy of some online platforms to explore. Again, the Muse, as I mentioned before, Indeed, which I'm sure most of you have heard of. My Visa Jobs, again, that's more so for people that are looking for global opportunities, and you may be interested in companies that are more likely to sponsor, and what the probability is that they may offer sponsorships. My Visa Jobs is one of those tools that can give you some insight into that. In addition to InnerStride, Handshake, again, is our platform that we use here at Duke to register for events, but there's also a job search board, a platform for that. and then the Versatile PhD, which is a separate platform, but we utilize it here with Duke that you have access to. Okay. And then this is just a list of some of our top online resources that can be of use to you. Again, Handshake. Big Interview is one of the tools that you can use to practice interviews. And it's an online platform. Still today, many companies that at least their first round of interviews is will typically be online. So a Big Interview can be helpful in simulating that experience for you if you are unable or just don't desire to do a live practice interview with the Career Center. That is a tool for you. And then the other one that I want to point out that wasn't on the last page is Duke Options. This is not necessarily one of the platforms that we being the Career Center, we oversee, but it is a tool of the graduate school that has a professional development emphasis that can, give you a path to kind of set your schedule and set some what's the word I'm looking for? Some milestones for yourself that you can personalize as you go through your degree as a doctoral student. So that's something that you can utilize as well. And then I'm just going to end with our contact information. Again, if you're not following us on any of our social media platforms, I encourage you to do that because we do share content that is relevant on all different topics at different times that may be useful or helpful for you. I would like to take any questions or have any dialogue at this point. Anything that I've shared before, I know it was a lot of information, but I definitely want to have time to discuss afterwards. Okay. Sure, go ahead. Miguel, yes.
Yep. Thank you so much for your presentation. I think it was very helpful to actually have all the layout of all the resources and online platforms we have access to. So that was really helpful. Thank you. So my question is, so I'm in a stage where I'm trying to figure out my values or just know myself. The thing that still feels a bit overwhelming is like, once I have that down, how to condense that to specific type of organization, companies, or industry jobs. And so I wonder if you had any insights in terms of, once we know our values and what we like, how do we condense all that into like companies or things that we might be interested in? I guess, like, how do you start that transitional period?
Yeah, that's a great question, Miguel. Thank you so much for sharing that. So the focus to career is, focus to career resources, those assessments, they essentially will do that. They offer some suggestions for different types of careers. ONET, which is more of a governmental based platform. Let's see, I can't talk and type. Angela, can you grab the ONET? Okay, Angela will drop it in the chat for you. ONET is another platform that you can use. It's like a searchable database that's pulled together by the government that again can help you to match, different job titles. And there's a portion of it, if I'm not mistaken, that where you can do another interest inventory that will kind of spit out different types of jobs. And from there, Miguel, I will tell you, you still will have to do a little bit of digging because some of the job titles, they are not, job titles aren't really regulated, right? So that like a program manager could mean one thing at Amazon and something totally different at EY Parthenon, right? For example, so knowing kind of what the core of what you want to do, and knowing your values is a step in that direction, but then translating that into what does this career look like for me? Using that tool, I would start with the focus to career to help you to hone in on what are some of the possibilities for careers for me to start as a starting place and go there. And then you could use some of that information once you get to that point. Then maybe use the Duke Alumni Directory, or if you have access to another alumni platform, and then reach out to people and start having those conversations if they're in those spaces and you feel like that resonates with where you want to go. Having those meaningful conversations with people can be so incredibly important and helpful, especially while you're still a student and you're trying to determine what is my next step going to be once I'm no longer at this student status. That's when those conversations become really beneficial. And I encourage you, regardless of where you are at your point in your degree program, whether you are you've got 2 or 3 years out, or you're finishing this spring, it's never too soon to start having those conversations and meeting with people, because again, as I said, the job search process is iterative. It continues to go. Even once you land a job, you should, I hate to say should, but you may also want to kind of stay in the place of what will be my next step. What does that look like? And then you're meeting and building relationships with people. If that's always kind of a question that you have for yourself in your mind, then you'll kind of stay ready to make your next move. Does that help? I feel like I just said a lot of words, but did that help did that answer your question, Miguel?
It does. Yeah,
okay.
It made it less overwhelming. So thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad it did. Any other questions or points for discussion? Nobody else? Do I need to give a quiz on the presentation? I'm not prepared to do a quiz. Oh gosh. Well, I can't emphasize the value of having conversation with people enough. Yes, I believe everybody knows kind of the rudimentary process that you search for jobs, you apply for jobs. Like, yes, in the, cut and dry, that's what you do. Like, that's the process. But building those relationships and building your personal confidence and having those conversations is really the key, and allowing yourself to learn and grow through those conversations is also important as well. I want to encourage you not to set a goal for yourself or set parameters for yourself that are unforgiving. For instance, that may look like, by this time I should be at dot dot dot, right? Whatever that messaging is that may be playing in your head. That type of language, in my opinion, is unforgiving. So allow yourself to grow, allow yourself to evolve. Do set goals for yourself, but if the goalposts move, it's okay. Especially if you're learning and growing and building connections and making some progress in some sort of way. And keep in mind as well, the first job does not mean it's the only job or the last job. If you can find some value in that first opportunity that you pursue post Duke, then, and it makes sense in your trajectory, then let it be okay. Um, it does not have to be the job that checks all the boxes on your list of your career goals, as long as it is getting you closer to the step that you want to be at some point, then it may be a worthwhile experience. Any other questions, comments? All right, y'all might get 23 minutes back to your day. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, I definitely that's all I have. So, um, my time is done, and I thank you for yours.